Happy Saturday here from Dom's Corner. We are sitting here with the Boomboxx, aka Logan Lawson. You guys know him. How you doing today, Logan?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
Very, very well. I appreciate you being here very much. So we're going to talk with Logan about a lot of this music that he's been doing, which has been pretty good in my opinion. And you guys need to check that out. We'll be putting the links to all that stuff in the description below. Also, got very, very minor news to run through toward the end of the show. I got a couple movies I'm going to talk about that I saw. Then we're going to play a game at the end of the show, and we're going to see how that goes. First and foremost, my name's Don Martino. I'm your host every week. Please make sure you like this video, hit that subscribe button below, leave some feedback in the comment section. I would appreciate that very, very much. So, Logan, it's good to have you here. I got a lot that I want to talk to you about, and let's get into it. So, first of all, we got to talk about Horizons. I just gave it another listen today on my drive, and man, it's so good. I,
Appreciate it.
I mean this when I say it's one of the best albums that I've heard within this year, and it's fantastic. I wanted to know because I've talked to you a little bit about this before off camera, but basically to me, like it is such a not step up is unfair when I say a step up from Parallax, because I like Horizons better, but
Mhm.
that doesn't mean it's necessarily better. It's just that Horizon speaks more to me. I think it's
Right.
because it's a lot more experimental. So, what made you kind of want to go more experimental? I guess is the question.
So with the previous two albums, the first album, Press Play, being focused on it was basically 100% that big room kind of EDM house kind of music, and which is very repetitive to me. So when I made the jump to Parallax, and we did basically 100% dubstep, it had had five songs, the first and last song of which are an intro and an outro respectively. So it really had three songs which were all dubstep. And so when I made Horizon, I decided to take a new leap because it's like, all right, I've done EDM and big room, I've done dubstep. Let's do trap. That's my other favorite genre to do. So I decided to incorporate that into it, but still touch on my main genre, which is dubstep. So that's why I'm like, okay, it's still gonna have that kind of boombox style feel of dubstep into it, but it's got two dubstep songs and two trap songs, and so it's like trying to make this transition, broadening your horizons, hence the name. So that was basically that whole album in a nutshell. It was just broadening your horizons, and yeah, I just decided to kind of venture out a little bit more.
Is it Horizon or Horizons?
Just Horizon, yeah.
I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You mentioned the trap thing, and that's once you hit Genesis, the first track on there. It's
Yeah.
it's this. It lets you know what it is. It's
Yeah.
got the most trap influence in my opinion of all four of them. Is
Mhm.
Genesis,
Yep.
and yeah, it's so what's I know you said broadening your horizons, so to speak, but on the same hand, is it? I mean, is there a plan for the next thing at this point? Is it gonna keep being trap, or are you going to use
There
all sorts of other influences moving forward?
yeah, there I actually did leak on purpose a new project here about I would say about a month ago called Project X. And Horizons did have some type of influence on that because I had gotten so much feedback from Horizon. And I was like, all right, people are liking, that I'm experimenting and I'm not focusing on one genre. And so that kind of influenced me to start a new project, which was basically going to be a mash of a whole bunch of different genres that I like to make, and some that I'm actually going to be new to as well. One of them being psytrance, and it's a little bit of house mixed into it. So that kind of genre I haven't really played with too much. I've got quite a few samples lined up, but I still have to kind of refine those aspects of it. Um, I might throw in some of my old time favorites. I mean, old time favorites, hardstyle and hardcore. And it's that the only thing that scares me about that is that it is a very, very fine demographic of people that like that music. So it kind of scares me that I'm like, should I release this new project for free and just see how it goes, or should I just take that chance and just actually put it out for people to buy and stream and everything? So that's still the battle that I'm going with on this new project, which I have no
Right.
idea when it's going to be done.
Well, I know you're talking about some like old style stuff, you know, or bringing in some old style stuff, but is there a chance, and I don't know, maybe you've already done this on Horizon, that you've taken like, because I know you, and I know you've been playing around with music for years at this point, like
Yeah.
years. So are there any samples from like a long time ago, like say maybe even 10 years back, that you bring into some of these new tracks? Because I know that when you're listening to Genesis just as a track alone, when I'm analyzing that song, I'm hearing all sorts of different sounds that are going into that,
Mhm.
and they really pop up randomly. You make it sound all cohesive, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of like
Right.
surprising random sounds. Does some of that come from some of these things that you were working on maybe 10 years ago, or go on?
Some of them, yeah, that's I never really kind of realized that till you asked that. Yeah. So yeah, I'm sitting on, oh man, probably every bit of 5, 6, 7, up to 10 years worth of samples, stuff that I have, when I first started making music from back then.
Right, right,
But like probably the most recent stuff I've used has been from probably 4 or 5 years ago. And that's like where I would have a melody or something made with an old outdated sound, and I'll open it up. And since then I've gotten new synthesizers and everything, or virtual synthesizers, and I will put a new sound into that melody, into that note pattern, and it would sound totally different from what I've made or what it was saved as before, if that makes sense.
yeah,
And then I'll go in and kind of like tweak some of the notes, and tweak some of the parameters and whatnot, and it'll sound completely different. I'm like, hey, let's throw this in a song right here, stuff that I've had saved for years. And yeah, there's actually, I think it was in, I don't know if I had any in Horizon, but in um Parallax there was one, and I believe it was actually on, oh man, I want to say it was on Revolution, if I'm remembering it right. I did have a little bit of uh old sample that I kind of mixed and threw together in there.
right.
Horizons might have a few here and there, but as far as a full length melody, I don't think there was any on Horizon. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
definitely fun to do.
that's pretty cool. I was really curious about that. Just because you listen to Genesis, and you're like, where does he get all these sounds? I mean, I
Yeah.
understand that like sounds are accessible, but like Genesis incorporated a lot, and so I
Mhm.
was really curious to know if so you don't think it was in that song in particular though,
No,
necessarily.
Genesis was actually just a totally off the wall, late night trying to crank out something to start with. And it was funny. I actually got, so how I work on my music is I work on the main melody first, the big drop right there. Then I do the intro, and then I do, maybe a breakdown and then the outro. But I work on the main melody first. And that's what I started working on. I was like, hey, this is sounding kind of good.
Right.
I'm like, all right, let's see where this goes. Take it slow, don't screw it up. That's my thought with everything. Because this one was sounding really good, and it was just totally off the wall. Like that was actually the first trap song I ever really made. So
Okay.
when I was like, yeah, taking my time on it, I'm like, all right. And I threw the sample to a few of my friends that just happened to be online at the time. I said, hey, what do you think of this? I'm like, man, that sounds good. I'm like, okay, cool. You know, I wanted them to be like brutally honest. Like if they say, don't like it, I'm like, hey, all right, that's cool. I like that. So yeah, that's Genesis was just, I don't even know how I made it. I honestly, I just started playing around with stuff, and that's kind of how I get some of my sounds is I'll just play around, tweak some things, tweak some knobs that shouldn't be turned, and like, hey, this sounds cool. Let's just go with it. That's basically 95% of my work ethic. It's just like, let's turn this, see what happens.
Well, yeah, you said it was off the wall, and I think that's the way to describe
Yeah.
Horizon as a whole. It's all very off the wall, in my opinion. I mean, this is
Yeah.
type of music that'll make your brains fly out of your ass. I mean, it's. Do you imagine? Hey,
That's
Mister,
a new one.
don't listen to that. It'll make your brains fly out your ass. No,
That's
but
definitely a new one.
best way I could describe it, man. It's bizarre, but it's that's what I like for me. You know, I need bizarre. I need I mean, it seemed like there was such a conscious effort to make this one as weird as possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I know
Hmm.
that electronic music can be construed as weird in general, but like you went weirder than weird. Like and I
Yeah.
mean that in the best way possible. Um so what do you think, what steps do you think that you'll take to, I mean, in your own mind, I don't know. This might be a hard question for even you to answer because I know that I've done some music in the past and people have asked me certain questions about it. And it's like there's certain things about the process of making music that we don't even know. It just kind of comes to us in a weird way. And I don't think that's something a
Hmm.
lot of people can understand. But is there a process for you that where you're trying to be experimental and off the wall, as you said, to where to where you can do that, but also keep it concise. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the thing with music production. It's very similar to painting a painting. Whereas a painter paints their stuff on a blank canvas,
Right.
a music producer has to create their work in silence.
Yes.
They have to make something that has never been heard before by anybody, and it's all up here. And I could be walking around at work and be like, I have a melody in my head. I'll go home and try to recreate it, and it's very, very difficult because
Right.
you know it's trying to convey silence onto sound is hard. You have a very specific sound that you want it to sound like, and you really got to work hard to get that sound. But yeah, that's whenever I'm sitting here like making music and whatnot, or I'm just even just playing around with a melody, I have to think about how do I want this to sound? How, if I have this really low melody or low on a scale melody, I have to think about how is a bass drum going to affect that with such a low frequency? Okay, or should I take the melody up an octave and then the bass drum will hit harder there? It's there's a lot of forces to work with when you're creating something from scratch, and it's very, very difficult. I mean, again, same thing with an artist making their work on a blank canvas. They have to envision it on that canvas, and I feel like it's the exact same thing with making music. You're making the sound in silence and you're just trying to think, how do I want this to sound? And that's basically what I do. And I just keep going through different doors and create something even crazier and crazier and crazier until I destroy my speakers in the end, basically.
There's something that I think that a lot of music fans, or not, I'm sorry, yeah, well, music fans don't understand that music creators kind of have, is that you do hear those melodies when you're walking around, just on a day, and I think that that's where the bug kind of hits, right? Is there's some things that
Mhm.
just kind of come to us, but on the same level, you have to be, and I think that I can tell when I listen to your music, you are a fan of this stuff. Like
Oh yeah.
you're making songs that are songs that you would want to listen to, right? Like I
Yeah,
feel
right.
that way anyway. At least, well, I would say with both, all your music, I feel like you can tell you're a genuine fan of this stuff, and I think that's why it translates so well. But you were kind of talking about hearing all the layers. I wonder because for me, back when I was doing music, I would hear the song, right, but I couldn't hear all the layers of it. You know what I mean? I
Hmm.
would just hear a bass. You were kind of
Hmm.
talking about that blank canvas. To
Hmm.
me, that is the canvas you build off of. And do you find that you hear those things in your head, and then once you get down to the nitty gritty of making that thing, do you think it becomes something completely new?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Every basically 9.5 out of 10 times it becomes something. It's like this is not what I had in mind, but it still sounds really good. 100%, or I would say very, very close to 100% of the time, that's actually what happens. Now there with this, there was that one little not mishap, but that one time. actually with this Project X, I had a melody and recreated it almost basically note for note, just with a different sound, but it sounded just like I wanted it to in my head. And that one's going to be part of this Project X, which haven't put out too much of that. But yeah, back to your original question. Yeah, that's 100% of the time, basically. Whenever I'm thinking of something like, yeah, I want to make this pattern here, this melody, and it comes out completely different, but I'm like, hey, this sounds better, kind of thing. So yeah.
Was there more time put into Horizon than Parallax?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
there was considerably amount more time, if I said that right. Uh, yeah, it was. I think the original planned release date was on October. Actually, no, it was April of 2019. Then it got pushed back to October of 2019, and then it got pushed back again until I think it was about March, April 2019, and then the world kind of did its thing, and then it got pushed back again, and finally came out on June 19th, 2020. So it got pushed back by more than a year.
Well, I was curious. The only reason I was curious is because they, sometimes it's like the stuff that is, I mean, it sounds like it's something that would take more time, but sometimes the stuff that's your best takes the least amount of time, at least in my experience. So that's why I was curious if you think if it took
Mhm.
more time to make this stuff, as opposed to Parallax. But to me,
Yeah.
because I'm gonna take a guess. The song, and it's a hot track, but track three, it's killing it or kill it,
Kill it. Yep.
kill it, right? So kill it. I was guessing, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, that that's the song on this one that took the least amount of time to come to you, or
Yeah. Yeah. That one was. In fact, that was actually a replacement song for the original song called "Malfunction" for the album that did not make it. Which Malfunction was, Horizon had two dubstep tracks, two trap tracks.
right?
Malfunction was another trap track, was one of the two. And it didn't make it onto the album just because I liked about halfway through the song. I was like, this is really good. The second half of the song, it lost its vibe. It lost its hype and everything. And I'm like, I just don't like it. And it's like, and if I don't like it, I feel like other people aren't gonna like it.
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe not. But so Kill It was actually another sample I had that I was just kind of playing around with and whatnot. And again, one of those late nights where I'm just like, this is sounding kind of good. So it happened the same way where I kind of threw it out to some friends. I'm like, hey, check this out if you want to. And then they got back with me. They're like, dude, this is way different than anything you've made, but this sounds really good. I'm like, okay, now how would you like it compared to this one? All of them said, yeah, Malfunction. They're like, it's okay, but Kill It is way better. So perfect. That's going on the album. I mean, it was everybody said it. So I was
Right.
like, that's what I needed to hear.
Well,
So it was a good thing that I knew that I was like, yeah, the Malfunction's just not going to happen. So
the reason I figured that is honestly because of how well I know you. I felt like "Kill It" of all the songs on the album, they're all great, but I mean, the "Kill It" had the most personality. I felt like put into it. Like your
yeah.
personality is all over "Kill It," and I was like, this had to be the one on the album that just it came to him the quickest,
Yep.
and that he just. It feels like in a great way the like last minute track, so it's interesting that you kind of
Hmm.
mentioned it that way, and it's a total. That's the one. If any of these get played in nightclubs, that's gonna be the one. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know
That
if
one, and yeah, it did come to me like really quick too. I was just like, it's like right here, I'm going to do this. And I would do it. I'm like, that sounds awesome. And then this part right here, I'm going to do this. And I do it. I'm like, that sounds even more awesome. And then like the second half, I'm going to do this. And I'm like, this is it. I love this, kind of thing. Everything was just like flowing right to me the entire time. So yeah.
do you feel like, because I mean you have gained some type of a fan base at this point. Do you feel that you have to make music for the fans, or is it for you? How do you kind of feel with this
Um,
this juncture?
yes and no. Um, It's like I guess I say yes because that's what people are starting to know me for. And when I say people, I mean, like IRL friends and some Discord friends and maybe some
Yeah.
people, some fans on Facebook and whatnot. Um, and then I feel like I don't have to necessarily make it for myself, just because I'm like, I'll sit in here for hours on end just playing stuff to my ears. Basically, I'm like, this will never be a song, but this is cool to make. And then at the same time, I'm going like, man, if I stop making this, I'm like, what was the point of the past 5 years? I invested
Hmm.
all this money, this time, and everything into it. What was the point of it? Yeah, okay, I released 3 albums with the potential fourth on the way, and I feel like if I stop, then it's just all kind of wasted. It's just that's what I kind of feel like. So I'm torn. I'm like, I want to keep making music, but I'm just like, is it gonna go anywhere? Yeah, it's fun, but what's gonna happen? So I'm always don't want to give up hope. That's for sure.
Well, I feel like Parallax is kind of, in my opinion, is the one that feels like it's for the fans, but with Horizon, it felt like it was for you. Like this is just
Mhm.
something you had to do or had to take a crack at. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
this is the type of music you had to get out of your system. That's just kind of how I felt
yeah,
about it.
yeah.
Do you feel like which one between Parallax and Horizon, which one do you feel like you've put more of your personality into? Is it?
Um, that's a good question. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I don't I don't want to like kind of beat around the bush here, but I want to say definitely both of them
No, that's fine.
because
Yeah.
for like two different reasons too. Because Parallax, I focused when I really got into dubstep. I was off of music for about uh, almost 2 years when I was making that. So I was really focusing on, I was like, I love making dubstep. I love making this. I love how everything sounds, just the creativity behind it. So I put a lot of effort into making that album. And then Horizon came, and then I just put even more effort into it, but into different genres. And I'm sitting here like, okay, if I'm gonna put, every album that I release, I want to put more and more and more effort into it. So it's like I put a lot of effort into Parallax because it was a totally different from my first album. Total genre change, total BPM change, and everything.
Right, right,
And
right.
so I put a lot of effort into Parallax, and then took that uh, influence and motivation and just doubled it and put it into Horizon. So Parallax kind of springboarded Horizon in a sense.
Yeah. By the way, this is personally something I just really want to know. I was wondering because Parallax is technically the second one, right?
Mhm.
Right. So what happened to the first one? Because I can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, the first one, I believe uh, it is off of streaming services. I took it off because after after a year of well, let's see, it was on. I think it was. I'm going to try to get my timelines here right. So I released that in 2017. I think it was May of 2017. I want to say it was May 14th or 15th of 2017. It was on. It was out to be streamed and downloaded for I think 2 years. And after that first year, or sorry, after the second year was when Parallax was put on. Roughly, the timelines are kind of because Parallax came out on October 5th, I believe,
Okay.
2018. Yes, 2018. So about a year and a half after Parallax was released, and I looked at the revenue from Press Play, I was getting so low of plays with it that Parallax was taking over, which was great. Don't get me wrong, it was awesome, but I felt like, okay, Press Play was my debut. It's starting to get old now. That genre, it's not as popular anymore, even with myself and with my friends, and they really like this other album. So I took the initiative to just go ahead and just pull it from the digital shelves and throw everything on YouTube, which a majority of the songs are on YouTube, but not all of them. It was really the
Okay.
main. the ones that people like the most basically was what I threw on my personal YouTube channel. So this way people can still listen to it for free and yeah.
Right. Well, I was just curious because I know that when I did my first album, which is now available at your local city dump, for me, I was in such a different mindset at the time, and I didn't know nearly as much about music as I feel like I do now, and I hadn't at that point broadened my horizons nearly as much when I'd made that. So I wonder, do you feel like the tone of the music on each of your albums kind of represents where you are in terms of like how you've grown as a person? Do you feel like that kind of represents that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. Because press play was I was huge into that EDM, big room and house stuff. I was huge into it. I loved it, and that's what actually promoted me to make that kind of music. And then I kind of fell in love more with dubstep, so I
Right.
kind of went towards Parallax, and then I really started liking trap music. So, excuse me, that's when I kind of went a different route and went towards Horizon. And yeah, I'm definitely my albums speak for how I'm evolving through my likes and dislikes of music as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Do you still listen to all three?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
I still have a Spotify playlist still filled with some old school big room
Right.
house stuff.
Right. Do you think that the next project is going to be? I know you kind of touched on this, but do you think it's going to be the best of all three worlds, I guess, or do you think that it's going to be a complete genre change?
I think it's going to be a complete genre change.
Okay.
It's definitely going to be an experiment. Hence the name Project X. This is just something that I've never really done before, or I should say that I've never really done this extreme before. When I was first making music back in maybe 2010, 2009 kind of thing, when I first started, I tried my hand. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make this kind of music. Yeah, and then I would listen to it, and I've actually found some of my old stuff on my, 3 usernames ago YouTube channel, and I'm like, what was I thinking, kind of thing. And now that I still have a love for that kind of hardcore, hardstyle, psytrance kind of music, but I'm like, now that I've learned so much over the decade, I want to try this again. And because that's what I was like back then. When I was making music for the first time and for the first year, I was jumping, pinballing around to different genres. And I never stuck to one. And that's what I think I want to kind of do with this Project X is kind of go back to the roots of how I first
Right.
started making music and just see what happens. I'm curious to see
Right.
what I can make. So yeah.
I gotta tell you, man, you have no idea how much that excites me. I'm really curious to see what comes out of this. I
Oh
That's
yeah.
the thing with the thing with these 4 track, sort of projects is on one end you're keeping it condensed, so it's
Mhm.
almost like the pressure's off, but you can almost do 4 songs and you can make them as long as you want. Does that make sense? But on the
Yeah.
other hand, like it keeps people wanting more on the same hand.
Yep.
Is that a conscious effort, do you think, for you as well, to keep it short so it keeps people wanting more?
Um, yeah. Yeah, definitely after the first album being a 10 song album, that was a collection of probably 3 to 4 years worth of work that I constantly kind of played with and finished or edited kind of thing and just really updated the songs. So I had so many. So I'm like, hey, this is gonna be a 10 song album. This is awesome. And then after that, when people are like, "Oh, so you make music? So when's your next album coming out?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, whenever I get to it," kind of thing. And then I realized I'm like, I'm out of music. I have to make more now. So then it was
Right.
getting to the point where like, okay, if it took me, I can't be in my studio 100% of the day kind of thing. I would love to be, but taking that 3 to 4 years worth of songs to make 10 album or 10 a 10 song album was great. But then after that, then you start at square one again. You're like, okay, I have to make as many songs as I can get out in a year and throw them on another EP or an album. And that's basically what happened, where it was just I had to make new songs, and I felt like 4 to 5 songs was enough to kind of keep people entertained for the next year. or so.
Right. And that makes a lot of sense. So we talked about Genesis here, but I want to move into the next song on there, which is Encounter, which I'll be honest with you, I like Genesis more, but I like Encounter a lot because you did release a music video for this one, and
Mhm.
I love this music video. Can you kind of talk about, well, first talk about how the music video came to be? I definitely would like to hear that.
Yeah, so the music video was completely out of the blue, out of thin air. I remember it being August of 2019. So yeah, a year ago. Wow. And the people that when I stream on Twitch and whatnot, I got in contact with these people called by the team name of Mixed Creatives, and they actually make a lot of like gaming logos for streamers, or they do a lot of graphic artist work and
Okay.
graphic design and video effects and everything. And they're amazing. It's only two people that run this team, and they're an amazing group of people, very personable and whatnot. So I got in contact with them. I was like, hey, that's how, or they made my logo for Twitch and whatnot. And my banner on Facebook is that logo. So that's how I kind of got in contact with them. And I had basically made friends with them. They're a great group of people. I've actually played games with them and whatnot. So I'd known them for about 2 years at the time, and they contacted me. Yeah, it was August 2019. They contacted me, and they knew about my music and whatnot, and they said, hey, we know this is random and we hope this brightens up your day. They said that they want to get into making virtual effects music
So
videos.
just because they liked your stuff, I mean, pretty much,
Mhm.
right? I mean,
Yeah, yeah, it
that's
was
awesome.
yeah. That's I think that's what kind of made them broaden their horizons too. Because they had no experience in that. They would just make they were making very simple 30-second intros for, again, it was mainly for Twitch streamers, but they were making very basic intros, and kind of like still scenes that were 3D that a camera would kind of move around so it looked like it was a living scene, but they never did a full-fledged 3D CGI kind of scene. So they wanted to get into that, and I guess the two people, Fab Jab and Killer Bree, I guess they just talked and they said, well, let's use my music, and if we can use your song to make a music video, we'll do it. We'll do the music video for you for free.
Right.
And I'm sitting here going like, if you're going to do that, take the entire album for free, because that is amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually one of the reasons why it was delayed a little bit. And luckily for me, that was actually the same time that I was working on Malfunction and was having that debate with myself. I'm like, this is not working. So it just happened to play out right where them making the music video gave me that little extra time to redo that whole getting rid of Malfunction and throwing Kill It into the song list. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
they just released, of course, we just released it here a week ago or two
Right.
weeks ago.
Right.
And yeah, they did an awesome job with it, for
Yes.
being at their first time. And
Yes.
it was actually the thing that blows my mind is that I'm pretty sure it was just the one guy, Fab Jab, doing it. Now, I think Killer Bee, it definitely helped, but Fab Jab is the VFX artist and Killer Bee is the graphics artist. She does like a lot of like Twitch emotes and
Hmm.
the drawing and whatnot, whereas Fab Jab does the 3D animations.
Right.
So to see that entire work done by basically excuse me, I keep burping, by basically one person blows my mind. Like, that's crazy.
That's incredible. I would love to have him on here and talk to him.
Oh
That's
yeah.
pretty cool. I'm so fat. I mean, this is real like VFX shit that they're doing over there, and I'm so fascinated. And I know you can't really speak to the process of how they did all the VFX and everything, and
Yeah.
that's cool. But
Mhm.
I would I wonder. This is very space vibe. This is very everything I love. Very Star Wars
Mhm.
vibe video, and let's be honest, it is. And I was wondering how much say did you have on what was going to happen in the video?
It was basically all me. Um, Now they had they came back, with like, okay, what if we do this? I think they did that, I think, twice throughout the entire process.
Right.
But for the most part, it was all my idea and everything. And yeah, that's why I really, really like them, even beyond this project that they did. If you're contacting them for any type of graphic design or video effects design, they basically go off what you want.
Wow.
When I made them my logo, I gave them 3 examples. I said, "Can you combine these 3 pictures?" And boom, he did it. I was like, "Holy cow, you're spot on!"
That's
Like
amazing.
they do exactly what you want. So it's awesome.
Right. Well, why do you think, and I know it, I maybe it is the obvious answer of like this electronic music just works very well with space, and maybe it is that obvious,
Yeah.
but I am curious as to why you wanted to go with this kind of space themed sort of vibe with this song in particular.
So the actually the whole album tells a story. Now I never really put
Hmm.
this out there, so
Hmm.
this will be a first time kind of
Cool.
thing. So I like to have my albums tell a story. And again, I don't put this out there, so you really have to, I have to be initiative on talking about it. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but Parallax had its story where it was basically the fall of mankind, more or less. You had the first song, which was called Creation. The second one was called Knockout. Knocking out the person of power at the time. Next one was Revolution. So persons out of power, people start a revolution. Next song is Anarchy. Things go wrong after the revolution. And the last song on that EP is called Clover, where the world's destroyed. It's very, very vague, very kind of far fetched, but in my mind, it's just like, it makes sense, and
Hmm.
that's how crazy I am when it comes to naming stuff.
That's amazing.
Um, and I took the exact same concept over to Horizon, where we had Genesis, so the launch of this spacecraft. You had Encounter, where you're encountering some type of enemy spacecraft, some sorts. Hence, the dogfight scene
Yeah.
and the spaceship dogfight kind of stuff in the music video. And then you had Kill It. So that's where things kind of get a little skewed in the storytelling. It was supposed to be Malfunction.
Yeah.
So the whole thing was, you're encountering this enemy ship, and then they have a malfunction
I
in their
see.
ship. But I kind of had to skew that a little bit, like, oh, we're winning this space battle during Encounter.
So it's almost
Then you
like
move to
you're tweaking the script a little bit too as you're
yeah,
moving
yeah, yeah,
along.
yeah.
That's amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, then you go to Kill It, where like, we're gonna win this battle, we're gonna kill it. Then it
Right.
gets to the point where the last song, which slowly is becoming my favorite, Ruthless, where they're just all out war. We're gonna destroy this enemy ship, kind of thing. A majority of the album speaks as a space battle kind of thing,
Right.
Star Wars kind of space battle. A
That's
majority of
amazing.
that, basically the whole album. So yeah, that's something that I've never really put out there in public, because it's like one of those things that I talk about personally, like, to people, so they understand it better, because
I
I can't
gotcha.
convey that like on text. I just can't.
Well, that actually blows my mind quite a bit. I mean, I'm fascinated by the process of storytelling, and so in a lot of ways, it really is basically like you're writing the score to this movie that you have in your mind in a way, right?
Yeah.
And that's
Mhm.
incredible. I'm
Mhm.
blown away by that. So I guess that would lead me to this question: is, everybody's got their brand now. Like my brand is Anoraks. The show we're doing is Dom's
Mhm.
Corner, but my brand is Anoraks. Your brand is Boomboxx. Right? I
Mhm.
would assume you don't only consider that as your artist name, but also like your brand, right? At this point, I
Right.
I would feel that way.
Mhm.
But my question is, does the buck stop with music? say I signed you tomorrow. I said, Logan, I got a multi-billion-dollar deal for the Boomboxx. Would it just be music, or what do you think that would expand into
I
outside
think
of
it
that?
would be I think it would be sky's the limit at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been with streaming on Twitch every so often, and just now getting back into it after the break from the uh, virus.
Yeah.
uh, after after the break and getting back into it, when I was first into it and people knew that I made music, they're like, "Hey, can you make me an intro for my Twitch?" I'm like, "Sure, no problem." I'd take a little quick sample I got, just something easy, and give it to them, and it'd blow their mind. I'm like, "Man, I'm not going to do anything with this sample here. Let me turn it into a 30-second, 45-second, minute-long intro, just a nice little repetitive beat, but it's customized to them. Maybe I'll throw some crazy electronic voices in there that say their name, so it's customized to them." And they're like, "Dude, this is awesome." And so I kind of started doing that. So, and then some other people wanted some alert sounds, so I'd make a custom, bass line, or like a wub from a dubstep kind of thing
Yeah.
for an alert sound. So it really expanded from there. So yeah, I think if someone were to come up, say like, "Hey, I've got this huge contract that's going to change your life forever, what are you going to do?" Like, I'd be like, anything. You always need music for something,
Yeah.
albeit commercials or club songs, or down to people wanting custom sounds for their alert notifications on Facebook. I
Right.
think it would be the sky's the limit at that point.
Exactly. And I'm thinking like I wonder like I was just thinking because you talk about these stories you're making up in your head, and I know that I don't know how much you know about him, but like Tom DeLonge, for example, has made a big name of himself, especially here recently. He was the guitar player and singer for Blink 182, and now he's in Angels and Airwaves, and he's started his own brand called To the Stars, which essentially is not just the music part of it, but it's books now. It's turning into movies. It's so and like all this stuff is like a companion piece of one thing, and
Okay.
he's also got an aerodynamics team that's studying UFOs right now, and it's this
Holy
whole thing.
cow.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like with things like this, it's just so much more acceptable for your brand to be more than one thing anymore. So that's where the
Mhm.
curiosity got me. And one of the things you mentioned the virus. And I don't want to get into it too much, but I gotta wonder now that I know that in your own way you are a storyteller in your own mind, and these songs and these EPs are telling stories, right? And I was wondering if you think that the virus will have any effect on you creatively. I was talking to Adam last week, who's a mutual friend of ours, and one of the things that
Mhm.
we were talking about is, I was excited to see the creativity that came out on the other side of this, and hopefully that's one thing
Yeah.
we could look forward to. So, do you think the virus will have any effect on your music personally?
Yeah, because it definitely gave me a lot more time than I probably needed to
That's a good
play
point.
around
That's a good
with,
point.
play around with new
Uh,
sounds.
yeah,
Being
yeah,
off work for that long left me for it left me kind of wanting to experiment more. So I bought some more sounds to play with, some more oscillators to play with, and
right,
everything, and new wavetables and everything. And I put maybe about $100 into stuff, but when it comes to electronic music, throwing down $100, you can get quite a lot of stuff if you know where to shop.
right,
So yeah, it definitely allowed for a lot of time to make some new, quick little 5-second samples, or a 5-second sound clip, or just sound design in general. Just like playing with different. Excuse me, I keep burping. Just making yeah, just basically doing sound design. That's actually what I did for a majority of the time, was sound design, and making different bass lines, different wobbles, different leads and synths and
right.
everything. So yeah, that definitely allowed for a lot of creativity time.
Yeah. Do you know the word oscillator bugs the shit out of me?
Really?
Yeah, you know why? It always sounds like somebody's trying to say isolator, but they're saying oscillator like with an
uh,
accent. And
that's
every
all
time
I
I
saw
hear
that
it,
it might.
there's a scene, and I know you don't watch them, but there's a scene in Force Awakens where they keep saying oscillator, but then they keep talking with regular fucking accents, and it keeps bugging me because I'm like, quit fucking saying that word. I hate it.
it's an
Anyway,
it's an isolator, mate. It's an isolator.
It's a little fun fact about me. So there's a real fun story actually that involves both of us that I don't think I've ever told. And this was back when I was doing the Dom show. This is before I started this podcast, and I'm sure you remember this, that you and I did did like a entire 3 hour podcast. And I remember
Oh
like
yeah.
we recorded, and then for some reason, whatever the equipment was doing, I don't think any of us had the gear that we have now at the time, but it just,
Mhm.
whatever the equipment did, it just fucking, it got none of that 3 hours that we rambled on for.
Yeah,
And then we
it
had to
kept
do
over.
another where we're like, you want to just do a real quick condensed version of everything we just said? But I gotta tell you, and then the thing never even aired, so it was like a waste of time. But I gotta tell you, man, the I don't regret that, because like I got to know you a lot better through that conversation,
Yeah.
and one of the things I remember you talking to me, you were telling me a story about how you got into music in the first place, and
Mhm.
if you wouldn't mind touching on that a little bit
Yeah.
again, so what got you into music?
So it was 2000 and oh man, let's see, that'd be six, seven, eight, 2008. I believe I was a junior, sophomore, junior year, high school. Got to know this guy by the name of Andrew,
Yeah,
um, and I was a very, very outcast kid in high school, and so was he, and so were all of our friends. That that's basically how we became friends. Was
right.
mutual friends of outcast people. So we had this big group of friends, and he was one of them. And him and I just clicked. I mean, honestly, it was actually another buddy of mine, Josh, which I think you know, Josh Cowell. I'm pretty sure you know him. I've
Yeah, yeah,
probably met him a few
yeah.
times, but yeah. So he that's how I got to know Andrew, was through Josh basically. And we would go out. I remember we'd go out like it was Saturdays, back when I couldn't drive, so I had to beg my parents to
Right.
take me to the arcade so I could play Dance Dance Revolution. So that's how I got to know all these people, because we go out there and it was like exercise, like
Right.
we were going out and basically burning calories for fun. So
Right.
uh but so, and then I found out that he had a machine that, like, that kind of game at his house. Sure
Wait,
enough,
wait,
he
wait. Was
did.
this Josh or Andrew?
Andrew, yeah,
Andrew.
sorry.
Okay. Yeah, no
So
problem. Go
yeah,
ahead.
so yeah. So yeah, he had that at his house, and he lived right around the corner. So Josh and I, Josh and him are really good buds. I'm like, well, let's just go over there. That's kind of how I got to know him. And then after about, I don't know, maybe 6 months or so, of just talking with him at school, I was like, dude, like, we're like best friends now. So let's like hang out. And we hung out every single weekend for like a
Right.
solid three 3 years, I think, from like 2008. Yeah, yeah, because I was junior, sophomore, junior in high school. So yeah, every single weekend I would either have my mom drop me off until I got my license, and then I would drive myself, over there. I could get the car for the weekend or whatever, drive over there. And then I found out he made music. And I'm like, that's really cool. I thought you needed like a hardcore, huge studio for this. He's like, no, I just have my computer. I'm like, you could do all that on your computer. It blew
Right.
my mind. I
Right.
was like, whoa. And this dude, I thought he was like, he's got millions of subscribers on YouTube. I'm like, no, he had like maybe like 30 or 40 at the
Mm-hmm.
time. And I'm like, dude, this is crazy incredible. I like, I want to do this. I want to do this. And then so he would kind of teach me here and there, and he'd show me some stuff. And, it was 50% making music and 50% playing games, and, drinking Mountain Dew and eating Doritos every weekend. So it was half and half. But then we slowly and surely started to get more and more into music together.
Mm-hmm.
And he was teaching me, notes, kind of how to play a piano, because he taught himself by ear. And I kind of did the same as well. So he was really into like hardcore into music. He was into like music theory and the history of it, and not as far as like Beethoven history, but like kind of like recent, maybe 1990s. And we're all
Right.
in like that dance genre. So it wasn't like any like the rock or classical or jazz. It was like everything was all dance related.
Right.
Excuse me again. So that's where my love for the electronic music came from. That's where it stemmed from, because I
Mm-hmm.
was actually really big into like heavy metal back then. And then he showed me all this stuff. I'm like, this is kind of cool too. I can headbang to this.
Right.
So,
Right.
uh, so yeah, so we eventually in about 2009, 2010, I ended up getting the program FL Studio that he had. And then every weekend from then on, it was music, 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 100%. I'd go over there, I'd bring my laptop. It was just like, hey, check this out. You know, let me know what you think of this. I mean, back and forth all through the night till 5, 6, 7 a.m., pass out for 2 hours, wake up and continue. I mean, it was just like
Yeah.
Mountain Dew fueled
Mm-hmm.
energy. And it was very bad for my health.
Right.
So, but then see, in 2010, yeah, 2011, I believe it was, trying to think of like my timelines here. So yeah, in 2011, you know, I started going to college, so we kind of drifted apart a little bit, but not too bad.
Right.
And then I got on a full-time job at my current job now, so it kind of hindered everything a little bit. Um, but then in you know, in October of 2011, October 30th, 2011, tragically he passed away in his sleep due to sleep apnea, you know,
Yeah.
and that crushed, you know, me and Josh and a lot of our friends. And I mean, Josh and I were the closest to him. I mean, he was 21 years old. Like he just turned 21 in March of that year. And I mean, just absolutely devastated us. We're like, what the heck? This dude was the biggest hearted person you could ever know. He had, you know, you could be the meanest person and he would find the love in you kind of thing. Like he just, how he was as a person was amazing. And so he's taught me melodies that I still know, you know, by heart. And so I kind of from then on kind of devoted myself like, okay, he's taught me a lot in music.
Right.
I want to keep doing this. I want to keep doing this at least at the very least as a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, and he had his dad after he passed away, his dad uh he was Andrew was actually working on an album and his dad was able to get into his laptop, find his songs and actually burn them to a CD. I think this was kind of before Spotify was really big.
Mm-hmm.
You know, iTunes was there, but Spotify, you know, it was still kind of that era where people were buying CDs. Kind of filter. It was that transition time. So yeah, so he gave us a copy, all of his friends a copy, an actual physical copy of a CD of him, had the label, had it like professionally like printed and everything, had the song list on the back, actual like CD and everything, and I still have it. And
Right.
but it was just wild, you know, it's, you know, for to know him only for 3 years and for him to have such a huge impact that I'm still making music more than a decade later because of him. You know, he touched a
Yeah, man.
lot of people's lives. So it was really cool to be able to know him. And, you know, as much as it sucks losing someone like that, you know, it's like he still lives in me through music kind of thing.
So
So
you've done your boy proud, Logan. You've done your boy proud. I
yeah.
mean, you really with Horizon, which is incredible, and I,
Mhm.
I know that we've talked about all the songs on there. I think the one that we haven't really dove into yet is actually my favorite one, and I was saving this for last for a reason. My favorite song on the album on the EP is it's Ruthless, man.
Oh yeah.
Ruthless is incredible. Was it a conscious effort on your part to, it might sound like a dumb question, but I don't know, maybe not. I mean, was it a conscious effort on your part to make the finale go as hard as it did, you know, or to be the most heavy song on there, or was that just something that kind of came through the process?
Yeah, that was, I knew I wanted this album to go out with a bang.
Yeah.
Hugely, like I wanted this thing to just, I wanted the last song that people listen to at the very end of it, them to just be staring at the computer going, whoa, kind of thing. And I put 150% of my effort into Ruthless because I knew I wanted it to be just completely epic and just something that was, it would take you by surprise every single beat. Like you didn't know what was going to happen next during the next bar, the next 8 bars or whatever. And yeah, I put a lot, I put a lot of effort into surprising people in that one. Yeah, so I was really afraid that I was going to have to replace Ruthless because of how much I was listening to it, and I was starting to hate it because of, you know, listening to something on repeat 6,500 times just doesn't do well with your ears, kind of thing. You
Right.
start hearing the imperfections or whatever you want to call them. So I took a break from that, focused more on finishing Kill It, and that went really well. And because that went really well, I decided to go back to Ruthless and just try a different approach for the second half of it,
Mm-hmm.
and try to listen to something different within the same song. And that's how I made the second half. I'm like, okay, let's make it even grimier and make it even just more ruthless
Yeah.
in the second part. And I did a lot of small but fun tweaks to it, uh, to give it a little bit of movement, a little bit of variety, and but still kind of incorporate a little bit of the first half sounds. There's a few in there that you might be able to point out. And after that, and I finally listened to the whole thing, another few hundred times, and I was like, I love this. I was like so stoked that I was like, I didn't want to scrap it because I knew it sounded good from the get go, and I did not want to scrap it. And it was different than Malfunction's issue, where I was just like, this just isn't sounding good as a whole. Even though Malfunction was about 75-80% complete, I wasn't liking the whole thing. Whereas
Right.
Ruthless, when it was 100% complete, I loved it even more than it was when it was just halfway done. So yeah, that's and the ending of it, it just kind of like cuts off. It's just got that nice big impact at the end. Doesn't really fade out or anything. It's just right there, right at the end. It just ends, and you're like, whoa! It's just like you just got to take it all in. You just breathe at the end. You're like,
Right.
whew,
Right.
that was a heavy song. So yeah, that was a fun one.
For
And like I said, it's definitely one of my favorites.
for you personally, then, how do you know how do you know when a song is done? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, especially
Whew,
with the
that's
type
a
of music you make, because the type of thing you do, you could just keep going with these songs if you wanted to, but
yeah.
so how do you feel, or what is the point when you personally feel like the song is done or complete?
So that's a good one. So yeah, my process is, and I do this for every single song, um, is, of course, I make it here, in this room with these headphones.
Right.
Um, Excuse me, I'm still burping. Excuse me. Um, so I make it here with these headphones. Once I get done with that, I'll unplug, or once I get done with like a section of it, I'll unplug my headphones and listen to it through my speakers.
Right.
See how it sounds, see how the bass sounds and everything. And I'm like, okay, and then I'll go back, tweak some things, maybe, okay, all right, the bass hits too hard right here, or it
Right.
doesn't hit hard enough right here, or something like that. Can't hear this, can't hear that, whatever.
Yeah.
So once I get that, and then it sounds good in here, it sounds good through my speakers. I'm like, okay, let's send this to myself so I have it, on my phone, kind of thing. I'll go, and then I'll start listening to it in my car. And like I'll listen to it like if I'm just driving down to the store, or if I'm driving to work or whatever. I'll listen to it kind of on repeat and go through some other songs to kind of hear how they sound as well. And I even have a pair of Bluetooth headphones at work, some of those noise canceling ones, and
Yeah.
I'll listen to it on there to see how it sounds, because I want to get as much different variety of headphones, speakers, car stereos, uh, little Bluetooth, speakers, anything that I can listen to, even through my phone. I'll listen to it just to see how it sounds, so I can get all these different, like, okay, I'm trying to think of how people are going to listen to it differently.
Hmm.
And that's once I can tell, like, when I'm done making the song, like when I feel like that it's um complete, and after I listen to it all through like all the speakers, I'll make my final adjustments and levels, and you know uh bring the bass up or drop this part down, make all those final adjustments, listen to it a few more times in all the speakers. And then once I feel like it's perfect throughout all that and I can hear everything, I'm like, okay, this is done. And I'll still listen to it through these headphones like a few more times just to make sure. I'll export the high quality, everything, and listen
Right.
to the
Right.
final rendering one more time through everything, and make sure that it sounds great through all of the speakers. And that's when I know, okay, it's done. Like, it's complete.
So once an EP such as Horizon is complete and it's out there in the world already, and you listen back to it, or maybe you don't listen back to it, I don't know, but I'm assuming you do, right? Because
Oh yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
think you kind of do have to be, you have to listen to it again just to know. I mean, for me, like, I listen to my podcasts all the time because I'm
Right.
constantly looking for things that I can do better, and I
Hmm.
think that you're obviously listening for that, but is there a layer of that do you get a little pride when you're listening back because you like you said for the storytelling aspect, you have that in your mind too. Are you kind of like, do you get a little pride with yourself? Are you listening or are you imagining that movie in your head
Yeah.
as the music's going, or is it just criticizing yourself and trying to figure out what you could do better in the future?
I think it's a little bit of both, but
Right.
more towards the pride thing,
Right.
especially when it's with like with Horizon here. Of course, having Spotify, you have that release radar category where you get to listen to
Hmm.
all the new stuff that the artists that you listen to they've released. And I brought up my release radar one time. In fact, I actually plugged my phone into my car and brought up Android Auto on my stereo, and I go to my release radar. I think it releases like every Friday or something like that. And I went to it, and Encounter popped up,
Yeah.
and I had listened to it before, so it's kind of like one of those things where uh, if I'm listening to Spotify like in my house, and then I go to my car and I plug it in, it's gonna continue playing that song. So I thought when I hit the release radar category on the Android Auto, I thought for some reason it didn't register and it was still playing my music that I was listening to in the house. So I hit the next button and it went to, a different artist and everything. I'm like, wait. So I was still in my garage in my car and I look and I go to
Right.
my phone and I'm looking at my release radar and my song was at the top. I'm
Right.
like, that was kind of cool. I know it's personalized to me, but it was still kind of cool. Like, this is neat to see.
I
Like,
can
it's if
imagine.
someone's has listened to my stuff, they're going to see, oh, he released something new, it's on my
Right.
release radar. So
Right.
that was definitely cool. I think that was a big proud moment. I'm like, oh yeah, there we go. It's kind of cool to see it like on a bigger platform. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely a proud thing.
I can imagine. Yeah, I gotta tell you, I've been listening to your music through Amazon Music. So
Yeah,
if
yeah.
I play her album, what it does is it just goes on this like autoplay. I have it set to do like an autoplay to where it gives me other recommendations based on what I was just listening to. So it kind of makes a playlist for me after I just got done
Oh,
listening to
okay.
like Horizon. It's so far it's just giving me a bunch of random stuff, but I did want to mention that you are up there with the likes of Gucci Mane, Flow Rida, and Vanilla Ice. Strangely, so I
Oh,
hope that
there we
makes you
go.
feel all right.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm,
there's
I'm playing with the top people now.
there's a little pride for you. So yeah. So just to conclude the whole thing, is there if there's one thing that you could have done differently on Horizon, what would that have been at this point after listening back?
I think the one thing I could have done was utilize the whole lockdown quarantine just a little bit more, and maybe put another two or three songs on the album.
Okay.
I think I was so focused on wanting to get it done because at that time I was a year behind the original release date. But since so
Right.
many awesome things had happened, i.e., the music video and whatnot, I wasn't too concerned with it. But I think I was just more concerned with uh wanting to release everything now. It's like, oh, this is, I feel like it's complete, I feel like it's ready to go, we're just waiting on the last few minute touches here and there, we're waiting on the music video to be done. And so yeah, I think if I could have maybe utilized that lockdown, because I was off for about 2.5 months, I probably could have put out maybe another 2 to 3 songs roughly, because I generally, a song for me, if I like if I'm really feeling it and if I'm really in the groove of everything, it's about a month or so, 3 weeks to about a month that I'll take on a song. I don't like to do like rush it or anything. So 2 months, 2.5 months, I could have probably put another 2 songs out, but I was so excited to do some more sound design and play around with some other samples that I didn't really focus too much on that. So
All right. And then the other thing I got to ask is uh between Horizon and Parallax, which one were you happier with from the start? Or not from the start, but from the start of the release, I guess, or from the first listen to each of those, which one made you happier?
um, Parallax definitely. Uh, I think Parallax I was a little bit more excited for.
Okay.
Horizon I was. Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? I was. surprised about the feedback with Horizon.
Okay.
I was not expecting the kind of feedback with Horizon. Parallax, I was more excited for because that was my first taste of second album, new genres kind of thing.
Hmm.
I was really, really excited for that. And people still really liked Parallax.
Yeah.
But I was way more excited for that. And then I thought Horizon was just going to be like, okay, third album. All right, cool. Yeah, songs are, I was not expecting the feedback that I got from Horizon. So that was even better to hear. But I think I was a little bit more excited for Parallax.
Right.
But don't get me wrong, I love Horizon. I still love it.
I got you. No, that makes sense. It's crazy. It's sometimes when you're doing something, and again, this is me personally, and you even said you got better feedback on Horizon, uh, even though people still enjoyed Parallax. But it's sometimes when you're doing the better thing, you just don't know, because I feel
Right.
like it if what you're doing, uh, you kind of got to leave your comfort zone a little bit, right, before you can make that thing, or that's my feeling anyway. And I feel like, maybe with Horizon you weren't exactly in the comfort zone in the process of making that. You were
Mhm.
so what do you think, it was nerves a little bit with Horizon for its release because it was kind of out of your comfort zone?
Yeah, yeah. The fact that it was out of my comfort zone, and the I did have a little bit of pressure from some friends because I had the original. I made a Facebook banner, the cover photo for your Facebook. I made a little teaser photo that said
Right.
2019 on some of the piano keys, and people were like, "Oh man, he's gonna make a new album!" Like it was really like I tried to really raise the hype for Horizon, and then 2019 came and gone. 2020 came, and even towards the end of 2019, people were asking, like, "Hey, when's Horizon coming out? When's Horizon coming out?" I was like, "Oh, it's in the works." I was trying to. The main thing uh, towards the end of the year was I was trying to keep the music video under wraps because it was still in its early stages, and I wasn't 100% sure that Mixed Creatives was going to go through with everything. Not that I didn't trust them, but I was afraid that they were going to get overwhelmed and like, hey, I always want to have a plan B for that kind of
Right.
stuff. Like if they came back and said this is too much for us to do right now, maybe at a later date. Always trying to take a plan B, but they knocked it out of the park. So didn't even need to have didn't even need to be worried. But I still kind of had my plans in order. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I did have a little bit of pressure from friends like, when's it gonna release? When's it gonna release? I'm like, if I know it, I'll tell you. But I still don't know yet. So yeah.
All right, man. Well, hey, thank you for all your insightful answers with about the album, and I'm excited to see what you do next. I really am.
Me
Uh,
too.
so at this point in the show, we are going to move into the news section and the review section. Then Logan and I have a game that we're gonna play to wrap this up. So anyway, before I get to that, guys, I have a really cool announcement about this show. This podcast, Dom's Corner, is now on Spotify. You guys can find it on Spotify. I will put a link to that in the description below. So if you guys have long drives to work or whatever you're doing, just you need the audio only, you don't have time for the YouTube, you can now check it out on Spotify. So I'll leave the link for that below in the description. All right, so we don't really have a lot of news to get to. The only thing we're really going to be talking about here is this trailer that came out that is for this movie Rogue. And Logan, I got to ask, have you seen this trailer yet?
I have not. I have. It's been a minute since I even watched TV.
Fair enough. So with this movie Rogue is it's basically you got Megan Fox in there, and she's leading this like military group into battle or some shit, and then this big like fucking mountain lion looking thing. It's like a hybrid between a mountain lion and a tiger. Comes and starts tearing these people apart, and it looks like this movie's gonna really stink. Not gonna lie to you, but I gotta tell you, the vibes I got. I don't know if you saw this that Last Predator movie that came out. Did you check that out?
I haven't seen it now.
Okay, so that Last Predator movie that came out, I gotta tell you, that movie was awful, but with some alcohol involved, that was a hell of a good time. So I tell you, this is gonna be one of these movies that I'm gonna have a lot of fun drinking to. So, check out that trailer for Rogue, guys, and let us know what you thought of that in the comments below. A few movies I saw over the weekend actually that I wanted over last weekend that I wanted to talk about. So there's this Logan, if you need a date movie or a movie for a date night right now, it's kind of hard during the quarantine. There's a new dance movie that you could watch with the wife. It's called Work It. This stars
Okay.
Sabrina Carpenter. It's this is one of these dance movies, and it's pretty much everything you would expect from it. But that said, I gotta say I don't like these dance movies a lot, but this one I gotta say at the very least it at least had a lot of comedy to it. So if you're looking for
Oh yeah.
something that the wife will enjoy because it's got a lot of dancing in it, but also you can actually laugh at, this is a movie for you. It's not a great movie, it's a good movie. I highly recommend it for that reason. And it was refreshing to see one of these that actually made me laugh quite a bit. And I mean, there's some flaws with it. I mean, it had this one. I don't know. There's this one scene. This girl is living with her mom, and then the other girl she has to quit the dance team, and this girl's like, "Are you gonna quit the dance team because your mom tells you to?" I'd be like, "Of course I am. She's paying the fucking bills." So there was that going for it. So there's some plot holes and stupid shit like that, but instead the girl just fucking stands there instead. But anyway, that's my rant on working. If you guys need a good date movie to watch that is a dance movie that the woman will enjoy, whatever. I mean, just check this one out. It's good. It's good. It's not great. It's
Check
good.
it out.
You should check it out. Watch it with the wife. You'll have fun with it. The only other thing I'll say about that one though is that you know how at the end of these things they always have like the big dance scene, like the big one that's supposed to like impact you. This movie
Mhm.
hit me so hard over the head with all these fucking dance numbers that by the time it got to the big impactful one that's supposed to be amazing, I gotta say I don't think it really worked for me as well because of all the other dance numbers that were toward the beginning of it.
Okay.
So anyway, check that one out, guys, and if you did see it, let me know what you thought of Work It. Another one that we have here is a Shudder original. Logan, do you have Shudder?
I do
It
not. I
is
have heard of it, but I don't have
the
it.
horror streaming service. Uh,
Oh, okay, okay.
lot of filmmakers out there wondering how can we make movies during COVID-19. This one might actually interest you. This is pretty cool. Do you like those? Like, have you seen like Unfriended?
Yeah, we've seen both of them. Yeah, the
Okay,
Unfriended,
this
and
is
there's another one, wasn't it? I think. Yeah.
I don't know. This is a lot like this. This movie I'm about to talk about here is called Host. This is a lot like the Unfriended movies, but it was all filmed during this COVID thing. So, um, and they actually what I liked about it is they reference COVID throughout it. So this entire movie's done over Zoom instead of I think like Unfriended
Oh,
was done over like Skype, but this one was done over
right.
Zoom. It's actually a really quick watch. It's a 57-minute long movie. So I was
Oh,
really
okay.
surprised that it was as good as it was for the 57 minutes. There's so the first half of this thing, I'm not gonna lie, is actually really fucking scary. And that surprised me how scary it actually was in the first half. The second half I didn't like as much. This is one of these movies that had the opportunity to really do something different. There's one thing that all these movies do, and I'm not gonna mention it here because it's a spoiler for this movie if I say it. But there's one thing that all these damn movies do that this movie had the opportunity to not do, so it can remain original. And it did that thing that I did not want it to do, and it really pissed me off. And I'm like, God damn it! So, um, Host is a good movie. Again, I'm gonna say this is a good movie, not a great movie. Although I know a lot of people are really loving it. So it might just be my own personal thing that this movie did something I didn't want it to do. But it's a good time. The very first half of it is suspenseful as hell and it's scary as hell. And they did a good job with the first half of it. And if you like these movies like Unfriended, I liked Unfriended. I think that this movie
Yeah.
was even just a little bit better than Unfriended. To be honest with you, so I liked Unfriended. I think you'll like this if you liked Unfriended. I have not seen the second Unfriended. I think you just said you saw the second Unfriended movie,
I think there's two of them
right?
if I'm
It's like
recalling right. I
Unfriended
think
and
that.
Unfriended Dark Web or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, if you enjoy those, I recommend checking those this one out. It's called Host once again. Um this is directed by a guy named Rob Savage. I think it's his first film ever. So check this one out, guys. Let us know what you think of Host. down in the comments below. This is the last film I got to talk about here. So this one is my favorite thing that I watched all weekend. This is called All I Can Say. Do you know about the band Blind Melon?
Nope.
You don't know Blind
Surprisingly,
Melon.
no.
So this is going to interest you a lot. So this is a really popular band from the 90s, and you will know their hit song though. If you like
Yeah.
played their hit song, you'd be like, it's all over the radio, so you would know it. Uh, anyway, Shannon Hoon died of a drug overdose. He was their lead singer in 2000, 2000, not 2000, I'm sorry, 1995. He was from Lafayette, Indiana.
Oh
So
wow.
all I could say is actually Shannon Hoon filmed himself like all the goddamn time. And when I say all the goddamn time, I mean all the goddamn time. Between the course of 1990 and 1995. And this documentary is just a compilation of like all that footage that he compiled. And they even have
Oh
like a
wow.
little bit of it from the day he died, which is crazy. So this is really insane. If you're a Blind Melon fan, I recommend checking this out. If you're not a Blind Melon fan, I recommend checking out some Blind Melon music because it's really, really good 90s rock. And I know that you and I, just being from like Indiana alone, is kind of a draw to this because there's a lot of this
Right.
that documents old Lafayette in this documentary. So it's
Huh.
really, really worth checking out for that reason alone if you're from Indiana. Anyway, all I could say is great. It is a compilation. This is really all it is a compilation of all this footage that Shannon Hoon took of himself between the years of 90 and 95. But it's all edited together very, very well and very, very smart. And I like that they laced the audio of some of his old interviews over this too. Uh,
Oh okay.
yeah, so it's very, very chilling, very disturbing at times because you know that this guy died. And one of the things the documentary does in the beginning, which I thought was very smart, is they show you some of the footage from the day he died. They don't show you him dying, but it's some of the
Right.
footage from the day he died, and it's like 3 hours prior to when he actually did die. So it shows you that footage right at the beginning. So I thought that the documentary did that part really well, and it kind of gives you the chills right from the get go, and then you're just kind of watching his footage throughout this thing, and a lot of really interesting stuff, and it shows you a lot of what it's like to be on the road as a rock star, and you know some of the things that you do go through on the road, and the temptations that you have to struggle through, and it's pretty amazing, and I highly recommend this documentary. It's called All I Can Say. This is actually this new company. It's like Oscar Scope or something like that. They did this that Beastie Boys documentary that we talked about last weekend. So they're really on the come up, and I can't wait to see what they keep doing with documentaries, and I hope they keep making them. So anyway, so those are all the reviews and everything. So I had this game that I wanted to play with Logan. Logan's a game guy, so we're gonna
Oh
play
yeah.
this game. Uh, so I earlier what I asked Logan to do was to hop onto where'd I have you go? People.com and select
People.com.
three random celebrities. Um, and I did the same except I went on usmagazine.com. So each of us should have three random celebrities, and I will ask you to pull that list out now, Logan, if you have it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I got it on my
Oh,
computer.
great, wonderful. All right, so this isn't a game. This is a game, and I'm not a good impressionist at all by any means. I don't know how you are with impressions, Logan, but I don't do them very well at all. So this will challenge both of our impression skills or non-impression skills or however you want to say it. This is a game called The Impression That I'm Guessing that I just made up recently. Cheesy, very simple name, and it literally is what it sounds like. So, each of us are going to try to do our very best impression of the random celebrities that we've been blessed with here.
Oh boy.
Yes, exactly. And now the key is to do the best impression you can. If I guess your celebrity correctly, then you get the point. If you guess mine, then I get the point. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Okay.
So if you guess yeah, if you guess mine, I get the point.
Yes.
If I guess yours, you okay, yep.
All right. So, if it comes down to a tie game, once we're through all three, then we each get to pick a celebrity off the top of our head to try to do our best impression of.
So, I will have to find one other person because I know who she is, but I really don't know anything else about her.
Okay, that's fine.
The other two I can do spot on.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you have to know something about this celebrity. That's fine.
Yeah.
So
give me like 2 seconds.
Okay.
Try to find someone else here.
Yeah. When we do start, I will go first. I'll make myself look like the jackass before you have to, so that way.
I've got it.
You got it. Okay.
Got my third. Yep.
All right.
All right, I'm good.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and go first, since unless you want to go first, because you are the guest.
I'll let you go first. I'll try this out.
All right, so here we go. Celebrity number 1. This is the first time playing this game. The impression that I'm guessing, and if this goes well, I'm gonna do this with other guests I have, hopefully. Okay. So celebrity number 1. Y'all have a nice night now. Be kind to one another.
Oh God. Why can I see the face but not the name? I can see the face, but I can't figure out what the heck his name is. Oh, I'm drawing a blank.
Why is everybody trying to shut down my show?
Oh gosh. Oh God. Why do I want to say like Jerry Seinfeld or something?
Nope.
That's not it. I have no idea.
Go and make a guess, and you got to cement that as your final guess.
I'll have to say Jerry Seinfeld. I don't know. That's the only thing that's coming up, and I'm trying to imagine this person's name, but I can't. That's the only thing that was the first thing that came up.
All right, wrong. The impression was, I know this is how bad I am at this. Ellen DeGeneres.
Okay. I'm thinking this is weird because I'm thinking it's a guy coming from you because having a male voice and everything. Oh.
No, that's cool, man. I get it. I'm a bad impressionist. So go ahead. Go ahead with your impression.
Oh, you're gonna nail this one. Wrong. China. We're gonna build a wall. We're gonna build this great
Donald
wall.
Trump. Donald Trump. It sounded like, no offense, man, it sounded like a hybrid between Trump and Schwarzenegger, so I didn't know which way to go with that one.
Get to the chopper. I don't know how to do that one.
All right,
Yeah,
so
sure.
this next one's an easy one just because you made that one easy on me. So I'll try to do the best I can. I already told you, bitch. We're the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh God. Chris Pratt.
Yeah. Ding ding ding.
I was like, I'm like, Pratt, Chris Pratt.
All right, so we're tied 1-1.
All right.
Okay.
Go
ahead.
This next one, it might be a toughie. We'll try it here. All right. Yeah, dude. I'm trying to think of something else that he does. Well, if I just gave it away, that's a he. I'm trying to think of something that you can put online because his stuff isn't the best stuff. All I could think was like, yeah, dude, I'm gonna totally go do this right now.
Oh shit.
Am I allowed to say other celebrities' names that he goes with?
No, it's all based on the impression.
It's all him.
It's all gotta be the impression, right? Can't give me hints on the person. It's just got to be the impression.
Let's see. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna get my we're gonna go in here. We're gonna get my butt cheeks pierced together, and we're gonna get a tattoo of myself. I'm gonna get a tattoo of myself on my back. And it's dude.
Oh. Oh. Oh.
I'm trying to think of other stuff he does.
Ashton
I'm drawing a
Kutcher?
blank. Nope.
Oh, fuck. Okay, who was it?
Steve-O.
Who?
Steve-O.
Oh, Steve-O. Oh, my
From Jackass.
God.
He's like, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
He's got a big tattoo of himself on his back.
That was actually a really good impression.
And he, the only thing, I don't know why I remember this, but the only thing I remember is his episode on Jackass where he got his butt cheeks pierced together.
Right. How did I not get that? That was a really good impression.
Yeah, dude. I'm thinking like, what can I say that's no more than PG-13?
All right. I will go ahead with my number 3. Okay, so here's my number 3. This might be easy. I'm not gonna lie to you. You might get this. All right, let's see. Got to try to tap into it. Yeah, I'm the daughter of the governor. Yeah,
So,
I'm married. I'm married. I'm in good shape. I did some squats.
oh man, is this a cartoon character or is this?
I can't say that.
Dang. My first thought was Bob Dylan, just because I know that we go back with. Yeah.
Not Bob Dylan.
That was my that was my first thought.
Yeah. What you doing over there? Yeah.
Oh,
you got to guess my name.
I'm trying to blank.
Yeah. How are you?
Oh God. Okay. That.
Nice to meet you.
Gosh.
I see you thinking. I see you thinking about me.
I have no idea.
You have no idea. What you doing?
Man, I have no idea. I literally have no idea.
You got to guess. Take a guess.
Rob Schneider. You got to it. I don't know.
You know, I'm sure Rob Schneider can do that same impression that I just did, but okay, this is honestly, it might have been slightly unfair because I actually have no idea what this woman sounds like. However, it was Arnold Schwarzenegger's daughter, Katherine Schwarzenegger.
Oh, okay.
You know, she's married.
What are you doing? Okay.
She's married.
I see it now.
Chris Pratt. So there was an article with both of them in there, and that's why I was like, that could be fun to try to do.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead with your third.
All right. I know this one line from this guy, and it's always funny. So I'm going to paint you a picture here.
Okay.
It's cold. Well, damn it, Jackie. I can't control the weather.
Ashton Kutcher.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yes. Yeah. And your winner. No, you'd be the winner. I guess both your impressions.
Yeah, you got 2 of the 3, yeah.
I fucking forgot my own rules. But you won. Your winner is Logan for the impression that I'm guessing. So
that was cool.
I know we got to do that again.
I just got to freshen up on my my names.
All right, guys. So this will conclude today's episode of Dom's Corner. Logan, thank you for coming on today. Where can people find you?
Oh, everywhere. Facebook / the Boomboxx Music. Always the Boomboxx with 2 X's. Instagram, Spotify, That's where I post a lot of stuff. Just the Boomboxx, and iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Music. I think I'm across about 21 different stores, digital stores. As long as you search up the space and Boomboxx, you should be able to find me.
All right, guys, and that's been Logan Lawson, and thank you for coming on again, man. We'll have to do this again for sure. All right,
Absolutely.
guys, I've been your host, Dom Martino, as always. Please hit that like button below, subscribe to the channel, follow Logan everywhere that he is, please, and check out that album Horizon. I'm telling you, because it's gonna make the music come out of your butt. Or the brains come out of your butt. I forgot what I said earlier, but anyway, it's gonna
It'll be
be
amazing.
amazing. You're fired.
You're fired. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be
brain,
the best music out there ever.
the brains came out of my ass. You're fired. Anyway, so thank you guys for tuning in to today's Dom's Corner. I will leave all the social media in the description below, so be sure to follow us both there, and I will see you guys on Wednesday. Thanks again. Bye-bye.